Moving on to the fender. Now the fender's been sealed and primed. I'm going to do some hammer dolly work. I'm going to do some sanding, maybe put a little fill on there, and then I'm going to do my filler primer. But meanwhile, this part, I'll look at this fender first. This is the other side. This part on the passenger side didn't match the curvature of this side at all. In fact, this was in further on the other side. I'll show you. So this is the mess I have. I tried slitting it and pulling this together to help this pull out. The problem with that is when I did that, it started to deform the curvature of this fender, this outer fender. So now I put this fender back where it should be to match the other side. So in order to get this right, I decided just to cut it out. I started making this curve right, matching the other side, and this curve here is pretty close to the other side. Now they're not perfect. So then I'm taking this piece and I'm beating it all over the place to try to get it to fit in here. I'm gonna have to put filler in, metal, but that way this will match the curvature of that. So right now I have it in, but this is gonna be way out like that. And so it will match from here to this point on both sides will be the same. And then from here, the bottom of this up to there will be the same. That's what I'm working on now. So as you can see, I just cut this out and I got this big gap here because I had to actually bend this. I had to bend this because the curvatures were way wrong. This hole was off center too. And so when I get this going, I will make this a little bit more on center. It needs to be moved over a little bit that way, but so you know, you got an idea on what's going on here with this front fender. It's just kind of been a little bit of a mess. I didn't want to cut it out. I was heating and I was hammering and I was trying to stretch it. It just wasn't going where I wanted it. So it was either cut this out, make a new piece for it, or at least try to get this original piece back in. So I'm going to try to get the original piece back in, and then if that idea gets bad, I'll make a new one. So here we go. Continuing on the right front fender, you can see what I did here. It's kind of, I know it's dark, but there's a little bad spot right there. But anyway, this is the one I had cut apart. I actually formed it to match, you know, the other side. And it's pretty close. It's not perfect. The arc here is right on. I need a little fill right here where the thing was, but anyway, when I cut that, I had to add metal to the sides. This side I didn't really have to, even though this is probably slightly off center right here by just a little bit, but that's okay. I'm not gonna worry about that. When you get the rubber grommet on here, everything will look fine. Anyway, so I welded it up, welded it across with a filler, and welded it across with a filler here too. That pulled this curve out. So now it matches the other side. The height is almost identical, and so is the depth almost identical. So in my opinion, it's close enough. You'll never notice the difference if there is a difference. So there you go. Now I'm going to continue on scuffing this fender. Now this has got a primer fill on, but I don't have a lot on. So I'm gonna sand this and I'm gonna skim it and we'll do the body work. And then I'll do the heavy primer fill. So this is where I'm at on this fender. I skimmed the whole thing. I shouldn't say the whole thing, just this section. I'm just gonna do this section here. And then I'll do that section, and I'm only doing this front half So then the back half will be done too. So everything will blend in together. This is what I did to the other Fender also that I don't think I really showed very well. Anyway, I will take a cheese grater and then cheese grades this so it gets some of these edges off of there, some of the high spots. And after it tacks up really good, then I'll hit it with some 36, and I'm gonna form it with 36. It'll, even though the filler is tacked, it'll fill up that 36 grit paper, and I'll have to change that often. But as I work it, it'll keep curing. As it cures, then I will start to, it'll stop loading up the paper as much, and then you can really start to form it a little bit more. But that's what I'll do. And then afterwards, I'll continue on with all of this. But meanwhile, that is where I'm at, and I will continue on. Now, as you can see, I sanded out all the filler that I had on there, and you can see where the areas are breaking through. It's kind of where you want to stop. Some of these spots, which I knew about, were high, really high. I did tap some of them down before I started, but I didn't know where to go because it was so, the contour was so screwy with the dimpling and stuff through. This area is high, this is high. Well, usually when you start coming through like that, that's about where you want to stop, because now this is nice and smooth. I did 36 grit to rough it down. I did 80 grit to start smoothing it out, and I actually touched it with 180 in spots here, through here. As you can see right through here, it's still got a 36 grit. That's low right there, just a little low. See? So I'm gonna take some filler, and I'm gonna take care of some of these little spots that I gotta take care of, like this, and a couple little spots here and there. These low spots, I'm gonna pencil them out. I'm gonna take a pencil, I'm gonna mark where I need, and then I'll go from there. This whole area, I mean, there's like a low spot right through here a little bit. I know it doesn't exactly have to be super perfect right at this stage, but you want to get it as close as you can. So when you put your primer filler on there, the primer filler will take care of little bitty inconsistencies that you might have. So anyway, there it is. It's time for me to mix up a little more fill and spot some of these parts, areas, and get it a little straighter. All right. And there's the Fender primed. I still have to work the inside of this. I did a little bit, but I thought that'd be better for a different day. Everything else is done. There's the front of it. There's some scratches still in it, because like I say, I finished with 36. I went over with 80. There's probably still some scratches left, and that's okay. Because this will actually fill those scratches. And I'm not done with the bodywork, to actually be honest with you. You know, you can do the mud work, put this on, block it, you should be pretty close. And straightness wise, I will be pretty close. But as you can see, I left a little filler right here. This was kind of dented, I hammered on it and stuff, and it was kind of funny. So I left a little mud there to be able to sand off, because I have to measure this lip and draw the line and tape it off and make my line. And that's the same with the back one. I still have to do that. So the idea was for me just to get this straight. As you can kind of see, it's, if you look down it, it's hard to really tell, but it's relatively straight. The curves are pretty good all the way through here. This color's not a good one to see that on, but that's where I wanted to be. Now this, in my opinion, this phase, when I start back on it again, I'll start doing body work on it again, but then it will just be very minor and just kind of a tune-up, if you will, to kind of make sure everything is flowing right and there's no little waves and stuff in it. But this primer will take care of a lot of those little waves when I block that down. I'm not doing that now. I'm leaving it like this and moving on to the next part. So the reason I'm doing that is because I have a lot to do on this truck other than bodywork, but I figure if I can get these pieces kind of started, I guess, I'll get them along the way. Now, if something happens while I'm putting something else together and I bump this fender, it's not the end of the world because I still have to do some finish work on it. So anyway, that's a long-winded version of what I'm doing, but that's it.